Hello, welcome to the new and 2021 Twisted Lions Roar. I'm Chris Bell, and joining me for tonight's show is Dave Robertson and Tom Feeney. Thank you for joining us, gents. How are you both doing?
Good evening, Chris. Hello, Tom. How are you doing? We're all right. We're all right.
Yeah, ready for some football.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've taken a bit of a 2021 turn with this. I figured that seeing as everyone's used to watching everybody else in these little boxes with working from home and socialising from home and everything else, that we'd try and see what we could do really with the Lions Roar podcast. It's a bit different. It's not really a podcast anymore, though, is it? Because you can't see with a podcast, but let's not get bogged down in too many details. Mainly, thanks for joining us. And also, the big news we get to do on this first one, Dave and Tom, a signing unveiling a little bit later on as well.
Brilliant. That's very exciting. I should say straight away before we start that no, Tom isn't the new signing. we haven't signed.
And what a way to not Tom. Make me feel special.
I know. I'm sorry, Tom. It's not Tom. So I know a few of the people on the YouTube chat were hoping that it would be. Guiseley fans is already saying I have an idea, and I think I know where they're going with this. They're thinking it's Tom. He's playing left back next season. It's not.
Hang on. At this
I've got
rate,
my boots ready and everything.
Do we have a left back yet? I mean, it could be Tom at this rate. Who knows? You better get yourself in for training anyway. Firstly, though, before we kind of go on to unveiling the signing stuff, we'll just reflect really on what bizarre last 18 months to 2 years it's been from a footballing perspective, and the fact that it's January, I think, was the last time any of us saw Guiseley play. And for the most part of last season, I wasn't there. There was no fans, nobody was there, and we'd missed it.
Well, time stopped meaning anything, hasn't it, Chris? For the last 2 years, it's just we had that season that got cut short, and then we started a new season, but nobody really believed that it was gonna keep going, and then it sort of stumbled on until January. Amazing, it's landed on, went on as long as it did. But yeah, so yeah, and live football. And then when we came back, and we were privileged enough to be able to go to Nethermore and watch those games and cover them on the video chat and on the radio, and that was an honour because we were the only ones allowed in. But it wasn't the same. It was kind of eerie, wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, really, just really weird. And I think, the season that's just gone, we got to about mid-December and you could just tell it wasn't going to continue. We were not going much further than that. And obviously the whole grant funding, was it a grant, was it a loan situation of 2021 reared its head, and really, it was a bit of a shambles come the end of it, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can have some form of normality now. And hey, well, why don't we dream? Why don't we say a nice little promotion push for the Lions?
The world is weird. The world is completely weird. Everybody's been indoors for 2 years. We're coming out into the world now, blinking into the sunlight, and somehow England have made it to the final of a major European tournament somehow. Which is weird. So who knows what can happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that I'm kind of looking ahead to this season is that usually when a pre-season comes around, we're like, well, it's just going to be full of trialists. The games aren't going to be great. But because of that absence of fans in stadiums, I'm so looking forward to a pre-season like I've never have done before from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. There's some great pre-season games coming up, isn't there? Everton and Leeds and Bradford, and that Leeds game is going to be quite something after all of this. Oh, very fancy.
Yeah, well,
across the bottom there.
200 characters. That's only the first 5 games. It's all I can fit in, but
But yeah, it's going to be very strange. It's going to be very strange to be in a football ground again with other people. But I think it's going to be weird for about an hour, and then I think we're going to get used to it.
Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, well, I think it's just football in general, isn't it? It's that weird thing of everybody has been missing out in some way, shape, or form. Even those that have been going to games haven't been able to experience, what you miss from a game, which is going to see your friends. The social side to it before and after a match. For those that were at these games last season, I mean, it really was a case of you turn up in your mask, you'd have your temperature checked, you'd sit down, you'd do the job that you were doing at that game, and you'd leave. There was no real, I suppose, the enjoyment of it never really started, especially them last few games where it kind of just was like, right, these games are happening, but we all know that the season isn't going to continue. So it was kind of like watching matches, just thinking, like, well, why we're here, basically. So it'd be nice to actually be going to games, even these pre-season ones, which actually mean something.
Yeah, definitely. And let's be fair, Tom, as well. You're just looking forward to that first cider in the clubhouse after a game as well.
Well, as long as someone else is buying them, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, some things, Dave, have never changed in the last 2 years.
You're right, though, Tom. It's not just the game. It's not just going to the game and enjoying a game of football. It's all the stuff around it. It's the going to the game. It's the meeting your friends. It's the dissecting the performance in the bar afterwards, and all of that Saturday routine that we've all missed for 2 years. Feels like that's about to come back, and that's really exciting.
It is indeed. And one man for sure who will have missed the football is our new signing, which I'm delighted that we get the chance to reveal here on the new Lions Row podcast. And that is, as I bring him in now, a returning midfielder to Nethermore who was with us over 12 months ago, is Jamie Spencer. Jamie, thanks for joining us here on the Lions Row. Welcome back to Guiseley AFC.
Thank you. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You've been watching in the wings there as we were talking about how much we've missed the football. From your perspective, there was a player. How was the last, call it 2 years, really, because it's been 2 half seasons of football. But, of course, for last season, up at Spennymoor, how has it all been for you?
I think, like I said, 2 years ago when I was at Guiseley's last game of Kingsland, I think everyone thought, it'll be finished for a couple of weeks and we'll be back to it, finish season off. And then we'll be back to normal. But then, so I went on, and we started in October. And it worked the same for everyone. Like my mum and dad and girlfriend, mum and dad come watch. And it's just everyone wanted to be back at games and turn up to games and no one's there. And you've got to get changed. 6 you're getting changed upstairs, 6 you're getting changed in toilets, 6 you're getting changed here, there and everywhere. It just worked the same. So I think, like I say, coming back, obviously what's happened with England as well makes people want to go back, watch football back even more. So I think everyone's just happy to be back to normality.
Absolutely. Very much so. In terms of you and Damien, and coming back to Guiseley, after that spell away at Spennymoor, how does that come about? How have you made the return to Guiseley?
I've still stayed in contact with Russ Holt since I left. Really get on with Russ both on and off the pitch. I spoke to a few lads at Guiseley too. And then when season finished, I'd spoke to Russ, and then there were talks early February, March, really. And then it just materialised over the last couple of months. And I agreed with Russ in May. So it's been a while, but just not been said, really. Just waiting for the season to start.
Well, it's always the way, isn't it? Where you've got to kind of see out your contract before you can be announced elsewhere. And yes, as fans, we always get frustrated by it. Every time the season ends, we're like, right, who's signing for next season? But it's just the way it has to pan out. But as I say, delighted that you're here. How long have you been back in training? How's that all been going with the lads then?
It's been optional since June, once a week, just to get a feel for football again. Because, like I say, it's been 5 months since we've played football or sort of kicked a ball. So it's been good to be back in amongst lads, a few familiar faces, a few new lads, as everyone's aware. And then we've been back last 2 weeks, twice a week, and then we've got a double session tomorrow. So I'm a bit apprehensive about that, but it'll be good to be back in, to be fair.
Jamie, how have you been keeping fit throughout lockdown? Because obviously, like you say, we haven't been playing since since January. Have you been left to your own devices, or have you been?
Sort of being kept to his own devices, just ticking over, and then we got sent out a plan from Guiseley, which Marcus and Russ sorted out. Ash, Clates, fitness based and strength based, and a bit of activation and just stuff to prevent getting injured, really, because obviously it's been that long. It's been quite difficult for lads then to get back into it. So I think it's been very good from the club to arrange us being back in once a week, which hopefully will stand us in good stead come Tuesday night, and then for more importantly, the 14th of August.
So in terms of
Jamie, I was going to ask when you.
Go on, Tom. Go on. There's a delay. We're getting used to it.
When you're looking at this season and the amount of competition in the National League North, just where do you think Guiseley can aim for under Russ and Marcus?
I think going off the other season when we were there, I think towards the end of the season, and we had a good spell at the start. We dipped off a little bit, and then we came back, and I thought we had a good end to the season. I think it sort of killed us really that the season finished how it did, because we had a good run in the end of the season. We were in full confidence, and we had a chance of pushing playoffs. And I think in this league now, it is getting more competitive, like you say, Tom. It's like some clubs are full-time, some clubs are hybrid. So I think we need to bridge the gap there and make sure we're doing enough in training then to push on. I think to achieve playoffs would be outstanding in comparison to other people and what access they've got. But I think it's just about what we do and keep competing. I'm sure we'll be there and thereabouts, challenging other teams and really pushing on for the playoffs, hopefully.
It would be nice to see promotion push, as you say, after mentioning like a couple of years ago when we were coming so close to it. In terms of the squad itself, there was a few new faces that will be in there from when you were last there, but in particular this season, a couple of new signings for the coming season in Jordan Thewlis and Jake Day so far. I think looking at it from an overall squad perspective at the moment, we're almost unusually top heavy up front at the moment, but that can only be a good thing with the firepower that we have on paper.
Yeah, definitely. I spoke to Russ last night about it actually, and he said like last year we struggled to score goals. That's why we brought likes of you back in. So there's a bit of a pressure on me, but hopefully right to that. But like Jordan, Kane, Jake, Andy Kelly, there's like these goals in the team. So we need to make sure we're safe and secure at back. But he has gone for that approach. He has spoke to us about how we want to play, and that is more of attacking style of football.
Has anybody tried to have an argument yet with Jake Day, given that he's a part-time heavyweight boxer?
I'm sure he'll get something said to him. I'm sure I'll be one of them to say something to him some point in the season. But might be stood behind someone else like Clayton if I'm saying something.
To be fair, if there's one man that would have a word to say to him, I could imagine that would be Clayton, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you stick behind people, you know.
So yeah, in terms of the overall aim, then it's kind of. Have Russ and Marcus indicated then to you that there is the real aim for that then playoff spots? Obviously, we know how difficult it's going to be.
Yeah, I think, like I say, expectation should be as high as possible, and it's up to us to achieve it. Stuff will go against us throughout the season, whatever that will be. And like I said, there's a lot of teams in the league now that have got good budgets. There's more money filtering down leagues, which is fantastic. But like I say, them being full time, they've got more challenges to train, but we need to make sure that we're ready. And I'm sure with Russ and Marcus' training, we'll definitely be one of the fittest teams in league. And I'm sure we can compete then with other teams.
Yeah, given you tomorrow, you'd certainly expect that to be the case.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So looking ahead then, and we can do this on the whole with you here, Jamie, and the pre-season games, we start the games on Tuesday night away at Ilkley Town. That's going to be a really interesting prospect because for Ilkley, they've joined the pyramid now. They are, they could make it if they work their way up the levels to the same level that we're at.
Yeah,
it's going to be something different for you boys and for them as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I say, every game's tough. No matter who you play, it's the same at any level. Like you can play teams lower and it can be hard, and you can play teams higher that can be easier. So I think everyone might be a little bit rusty come Tuesday night. As you can imagine, but I think it's good. Like the game's coming thick and fast, which is what's needed and which I prefer in pre-season.
Yeah, as I say, we've got 3 games in this first week. Ilkley on Tuesday, Yorkshire on Thursday, and then something really different for us, actually, Everton under 23s coming to Nethermore a week tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. I was surprised when I seen Everton, but it's a good challenge for us and it's a good challenge for them. It should be a good game. Like I say, it'd be nice to have people back at Nethermore. It'd be good for the club and everyone else that's involved within the club.
Yeah, it's just a shame that I think James Rodriguez out with the Colombia squad at the moment.
I know, yeah.
Well, thanks very much for joining us, Jamie. We're delighted to see you back at Nethermore. I can see from some of the comments as well that we've got coming in. From Andy P, who says it's a great signing. Welcome back, Jamie. A few of the other comments as well. People delighted that you've returned to the club. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that we can just get through, for a start, a full season of football as well. And that you can be chipping away with a few of the goals as well, seeing as that pressure's been put on you as well by the gaffers.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I like a challenge. So it'd be nice to get back to it, really. And look forward to seeing everyone back at game.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you at Ilkley Town on Tuesday night.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
No worries.
Cheers, Jamie.
There we go. That's Jamie Spencer, then the newest addition to the Lions squad. And lads, overall, got to be delighted with that.
Yeah, it's a great signing. He was a fantastic midfielder for us. The last season he was here, chipped in with some goals. He's got a bit of bite in midfield. There's a bit of scrap there in him. I'm excited to see him play alongside Prince Ekpolo in that Guiseley midfield. It's if he wanted to come back and we could get him back, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? You bring Jamie Spencer back to the club.
Tom?
I think what he is, well, him and Prince, you've got 2 players that really complement each other, because you've got this kind of central defensive midfield role in Prince and then a box-to-box midfielder in Jamie. And them 2 together, if they can gel and they can both stay fit, I mean, that could be the best central midfield partnership in the league in terms of the attributes they have and the ability they both have. So, I mean, it's an exciting signing for what it adds to the dynamisms of the squad.
Yeah, I think, he touched on there that Russell and Marcus are looking to chip in with the goal scoring as well. I'm not entirely sure if that's entirely his game as a box-to-box, but when you look at his first spell, 5 goals, I think, in 18 games in the league, that's better than a 1 in 4 record.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is a box-to-box personally. I think that is kind of the way that he is that he's got a lot of energy, he can make a real impact, and, he's not afraid to put a tackle in either, is he? I think we can agree with that, with the amount of tackles that he was putting in that first spell. So again, I think it's a good signing, and I think what it is, it shows you the way that Russ and Marcus have worked about this, because when the season ended the way it did, I think those conversations really, and a lot of the work started basically, the week after the season was finished. So there's been a lot of build up to this, but it's just see, a few more players getting over the line now and being in the squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we touched on as well there, the goals that, at least on paper, we have in the side now, Jordan Thewlis in particular has come in from Boston United and Jake Day as well. We've got different types of forwards in the squad now, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Thewlis is a great signing, isn't it? From the caliber of to get a player of his caliber in and to get him up front. I'd be interested to see how he fits in with Kane Felix, but crucially to take a little bit of the pressure off Kane Felix as well, who for a lot of the time in the last 2 seasons has been our main source of goals and in some cases our only source of goals. So to have another striker in there who we know has a proven track record at this level and higher, and can play alongside Kane, can help Kane, can play off him or support him or get some assists as well. And then to have a player of the physical capabilities of Jake Day as well, it gives us a bit more options across the season. We know that there's going to be no team stays entirely fit for an entire season, especially not at this level. So it's important that we've got those options as well. We haven't got the biggest budget in this league, and the budgets in this league have just gone crazy. So what we have to do is make the most of what we have, and so to get those two strikers in, to give Kane a bit more help going forward, and I'm sure there will be others as well, is a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just picturing in my head, trying to work out like how these players can fit in together, and just off the top of my head thinking of a midfield three of Ekpolo, Cantrell, and Spencer, Jake Day through the middle, and then Thewlis and Felix either side playing off him. To me, that sounds like one of the best midfielding attacks that you'll see at this level.
It's a really promising squad, isn't it? I mean, with more to come, I'm sure, because as they say, we are currently a bit top heavy, but we'll see over the next, 2 or 3 friendlies, we'll start to see the players that are coming in. Obviously, we won't know who they are. Of course, we never know who they are. They're all just trialists, right? Except Tom. Tom knows who they all are. But we'll start to see that squad coming together, and we'll start to see a defence start to form, and who are we going to get in goal this year? Obviously, we re-signed Declan Lampton, and he's a really promising keeper. Are they going to push him into a first team position? Are they looking to, the pattern of the last few seasons has been get another young keeper in from a Premier League club, from a Sheffield United. Obviously, Marcus Dewhurst and Brad Wade were really great for us. But is that going to happen again? Are we going to get someone more experienced? Yeah, it's going to be really exciting over the next couple of friendlies. I mean, it would be anyway.
I can just see Tom trying to suppress his thoughts of, please sign Stephen Drench, please sign Stephen Drench, please sign Stephen Drench.
Has he not got?
Well, I've got to say, Declan. Well, he's currently, available, so you never know. But I have got to say, Declan Lampton is someone who, you've heard the reports of him. He's gained that bit of experience playing in the NCEL, and he's somebody that I think, especially against Ilkley Town on Tuesday, it'd be great to see him get 45 minutes, and then why not give him 45 minutes in a big game against maybe Leeds, maybe Bradford, and just see what happens, because the potential is there. When someone like Dave Curry is saying what he's saying about him, and the track record that the Guiseley Academy have, why not give him an opportunity? I think he's more than earned it.
And there's more coming through from the academy as well. While you mentioned the academy, have we re-signed Lewis Hay, Adam Hoare?
Yes, Lewis Hay, Adam Hoare, Chuck's signed up for next season. I think Ollie Brown is the last one of last season's academy signing, so to speak. I think he's the last one to do so at the moment. But as you say, the academy graduates are there and coming through, Dave.
Yeah, and I thought there's some real Chuck Malakwu looked great in the academy games, particularly hark back to that Bolton game, of course. But he properly bossed a League Two academy's defence. He was great. He came into the side. He was a little unfortunate in his first game, but he didn't let his head drop, and he came back towards the end of the season. I'm absolutely certain if the season had continued, he would have broken into that team a bit more. So it'd be interesting to see sort of that youth of Chuck Malakwu alongside someone with a bit more of an experienced head as Hamza, to see him coming into the side. And Adam Hoare looked very, very promising as well, as another striker. And again, he can only benefit from working with Jordan Thewlis, Jake Day, Kane Felix. He can only benefit and grow as a player. And I think that's where we are as a club, isn't it? This is what we do. We get these young players in, we grow them, and we benefit from that youthful exuberance, I suppose, and hopefully they'll get us a few more goals.
Yeah, just going through the comments, actually, touching on what we were saying, the goalkeeping situation, and a bit of a discussion going on about Brad Wade, and if he's shifting to the first team picture at Rochdale, everything Rochdale at the moment is very much up in the air. The manager list, they've just had a change of board, and it looks very likely that Brad Wade could compete for a number one spot there. And actually, for me, after what we've seen over the last 2 broken seasons of Brad Wade, I think he would definitely deserve that chance in League Two. Let's look ahead to the fixtures then before we start wrapping this up. And the pre-season games, as we say, this week, a busy week for the Lions. Ilkley Town away on Tuesday night, York Tremetcher on Thursday, and Everton under-23s at Nethermore a week tomorrow. That's an exciting start overall to pre-season. Tom?
Yeah, definitely. I think Ilkley Town, there's kind of that mystique of, one of their first games since they've been put into the pyramid, and then the Yorkshire Amateur game. I think that'll be a chance for some of the academy graduates to be given that opportunity of a bit more football. And I know that that's kind of been a bit of a traditional game. And then, the Everton under-23s game is going to be a really interesting one, because I was speaking to someone from Everton about that game, and they were saying that, basically they're going to be told, look, Rafa Benitez is the new manager for the first team. There's going to be somebody at this game who's going to be, basically feeding notes and saying, look, this player might be worth having a look at, for the first team squad for some training. So there's certainly going to be a lot on the line for them players. I know they're playing quite a few non-league teams, but that first opportunity to make a good impression, is there against Guiseley. So I think them players will certainly be up for it.
Well, that's the biggest disappointment so far, is that Tom's basically just confirmed that Rafa Benitez won't be coming to Nethermore. What a shame that is.
Well, Big Dunk could be there. I think David Unsworth is still manager of the Everton under-23s. There'll be plenty of Evertonians for Adam Britt to be excited about.
And then after the Everton game, we've got Bradford City at home. That's followed by Gainsborough Trinity away. After that, we've then got the usual big game, of course, Leeds coming up as well, and then Halifax and Stockport. So it's going to be a really busy time, I think, for the players in particular, but for all of us, really, as fans, getting back to these games in pre-season.
That's we don't need to worry about what I would suggest. We don't need to worry about results. We always get a little bit hung up on results in pre-season friendlies. We need to look at the bigger picture of sort of blooding these younger players, melding this squad into a new team. There's going to be 5 or 6 more signings before the start of the season. So the team that we start with against Ilkley on Tuesday isn't going to in any way be the same team that finishes up against Stockport in that last pre-season. That last pre-season friendly against Stockport, I think that's well timed, because Stockport, as a National League side that just missed out this year, that'll be a better barometer of where we're at than almost anything that comes before it. I think they'll aim to be ready for that Stockport game, get a decent result in that Stockport game, or at least give a good account of ourselves in that Stockport game, and then we'll be absolutely ready to go on like a train at the start of the season.
Yeah, wasn't it last season that we had Stockport in that final pre-season game and we got walloped 5-0 or something like that? Tom, you might be able to remember better than I can there.
Well, I've got to say Stockport on that night were absolutely outstanding. They just played just incredibly, and kind of you could tell that they were going to be pushing for the playoff places, which obviously they secured. And they'll be going into that game obviously with a lot for themselves, because they'll only be 2 weeks away from their season starting. So that'll be a really good test for us to end on. Yeah,
very much so. And then we'll touch on the start to the season and the National League North fixtures you can see across the bottom of the screen. We start with what is on paper, at least, one of the most difficult games we could have been handed really this season. AFC Fylde at home. I certainly feel like we owe them a result, though.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully.
I mean, it's a heck of a start, because Fylde will be, as they often are, one of the stronger teams in the league. So again, good barometer of where we are. It's a tough start, that. Fylde, Curzon, Gloucester, Gateshead. It's a cliche, but cliches are used because they're true. There are no easy games in this league. Yeah. There's no whipping boy, is there? Where's the whipping boy? There isn't one.
Well, as long as we're not it, I'm happy.
Because Kings Lynn didn't get relegated, so there isn't one.
Yeah, Tom, what do you reckon then? The start of the season that we've been handed.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is you've got to play all these teams twice, haven't you? So really, Fylde at home, first game, that's going to be a real tough one. But you get a good result in that, a competitive draw or a win. you build that confidence going into the Curzon game. Curzon have strengthened a bit. That'll be a tough game. But again, it's just all about building momentum. Gloucester, who last season, if the season had gone on, would they have got promotion? Who knows? Gates said, a full-time team. Kidderminster, full-time team. They're 5 tough games. But again, there isn't one team in this league this season where you go, they're going to struggle. You look at Blythe Spartans, the last 2 years, they had their budget cut. This year, they've upped their budget. They're signing really talented players. So all of a sudden, they're going from that team that were the Whipping Boys to being a team that are going for the playoffs. So, I mean, look, we're just going to have to see what happens. Hopefully, 5 games, 15 points, start the season like that, and we'll all be happy.
Well, this is the thing. If you start well, if we get positive results out of those fixtures, it's a good indication that we could be in for a good season. Let's hope that is the case. Final point on the start of the season is, and we touched on this with Jamie actually before we came live, the fact that it's an unusually quiet August. We've got 4 games in August as opposed to the usual 9 or 10 that we've had over the last few years.
It's an odd decision. It's an odd decision. Especially, I mean, again, we were all saying, like, it's odd not to front load the season, and the whole point of front loading the season is that you get a third of the season down before winter hits and pitches start to cut up and freeze and flood and all that. So you're going to lose a lot of the way it's set out at the moment. I worry that we're going to lose a lot of games across the winter and then be playing twice a week every week in April. So it makes for a very tough end to the season. It means fitness is going to be very important.
I mean, the season finishes in early May. It depends on whether there's any scope for them to extend that, I guess, by a week or 2 if necessary. Tom, your take on the way the fixtures have panned out?
Yeah, I was really surprised on Wednesday when it came out like that because, the rule in general has been that you front load the season, so you get to about mid-October and every team's played at least a third of their games. This time round, there's going to be, I think Dave's right because, there are a lot of grounds that there's going to be a lot of rain, a lot, bad weather in December, and there's going to be a lot of games called off. I think, that's just common knowledge, isn't it, really? And then it is going to be that thing of, you're probably going to be looking at March, April, it probably being Saturday, Tuesday, maybe for some teams, once or twice a Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, and they're going to be the ones that, where fitness really is going to be key. But hopefully the ground staff we've got and, the great work they do, hopefully we won't have too many games called off at Nevermore. But again, we might have a few called off away from home.
Yeah, we've got to hope for an unusually dry October, November, December, all the period that is very unlikely to be that. Final bit of housekeeping, really. Just something that Adam reminded me of earlier. A reminder that today is the final day, excuse me, for your early bird season tickets to get them at the reduced price. And a reminder as well that there are just limited Everton tickets remaining currently, because of course that's currently down as a limited capacity because whilst everything looks good for the 19th of July, there's no guarantees yet, so we have to plan for it not to be and change things in due course. So there's limited tickets running for that really intriguing Everton game. Tom, Dave, thanks very much for joining us here tonight. Thanks to Jamie as well for joining us to unveil his signing back at Guiseley. It's been quite an enjoyable little experience, this. Thank you to everyone that's watched and has commented as well.
By the way, Chris...
Go on.
Chris, if anybody on the chat room does want to start that crowdfunder to get me a new shirt, thank you for the one who said it still looks like a good fit. Yeah, there we go. It's the 2012 top. But obviously James there says at least yours still fits you. Because he obviously can't see.
We have a crowdfunder just to get Tom a Guiseley branded shirt of some description.
But
yeah, to be fair, we've had off-air conversations about the Macron kits. They just don't work for big guys like us.
No. I do have one, and it's 5XL, which is not good for my self-esteem. to be buying things that are 5XL. I mean, I know I'm not like small, but 5XL. Come on. Anyway, that's just me ranting.
That sounds
wrap it up.
Yeah, that sounds like a good place for us to end this live stream. Thanks, as I say, for everyone that's commented. Sammy says he enjoys. We'd love to see more things like this. We've got nothing set in concrete. We just thought we'd do this one tonight as something a bit different to unveil Jamie Spencer's signing and to have a bit of a guys-based discussion. If you like it, let us know. We might have to do some more of these over the course of the season. But yes, thanks to everyone who has commented and watched. Go on, Dave.
Like and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe.
Yes, and if you're not watching this live, you're watching this later on, leave us a comment anyway. Let us know what you think as well. Yeah, there we go. That's all the housekeeping done, isn't it? Yeah? Excellent.
Yes, I think
we're done.
I think we are. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining us here on this live stream. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully, before long, we might be back with another edition of The Lions Roar Live. Take care.
Goodbye.